Sir John Whittingdale.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. I have spoken about Ukraine and indeed initiated debates on Ukraine a number of times over the past 12 years, which of course was when the war which Russia is waging on Ukraine started with the annexation of Crimea. And during that time I visited Avdiivka, Mariupol, Berdyansk, all of which are now under Russian occupation. I'm proud that as a result of pressing the government at that time, the UK started supporting Ukraine through Operation Orbital. This was before the full-scale Russian invasion, but since then we have been in the vanguard. We've done so because we have a duty as an original signatory of the Budapest Memorandum, because we also believe in the principle that independent sovereign states should not lose territory as a result of military aggression, but also because Ukraine is our front line, because we know that Putin's threat does not just extend to the territory of Ukraine, but to all of those countries which used to be either part of the Soviet Union or the Warsaw Pact, in particular the Baltic states. But I'm more proud of the extraordinary resilience and courage shown by the Ukrainian people. People have talked about in this debate about the fact that it's going to be minus 16 tonight, that 70% of Kyiv has no electricity, as does large parts of Odessa, Kharkiv, a number of other cities. And the losses during this war on both sides have been truly horrendous. Well over 1 million Russian casualties. And on the Ukrainian side, although numbers have not been released, it's almost certainly well over 100,000. So we can understand why the Ukrainians want to see an end to this war. But they want a just and lasting peace. And therefore, the original plan that was advanced by Steve Witkoff and President Trump, the so-called 28-point plan, was utterly unacceptable. It required Ukraine to accept the loss of their territory. It required Ukraine to commit never to having NATO troops on their soil. The plan that is apparently now coming forward is, we are told by President Zelensky, 90% in agreement, but he's described as the requirements on territory as being very difficult. And whilst I absolutely believe that it must be for Ukraine to decide on the terms of any peace, the idea that Russia is going to be allowed to keep any of the sovereign territory of Ukraine is very, very difficult to stomach. We have debated the terms of a potential peace plan involving the deployment of troops as a security guarantee, and I absolutely share some of the concerns about how that will operate that have been expressed by a number of other speakers in the debate. But my real concern is that whilst it is important we do talk about how a settlement might be enforced, I do believe that there is a very strong chance we're not going to get one. Because Sergei Lavrov has said within the last 24 hours that a ceasefire is simply not serious. And since talk of this peace plan was advanced, Russia has stepped up its attack, that the number of drones and missiles landing across the whole of Ukraine has simply gone on increasing. And there is a real risk that actually, as if part of the settlement plan involves the stationing of NATO troops on Ukrainian soil, as we have been debating. Putin has made it absolutely clear that that is a complete red line, which he is not willing to accept. So I think we need to at least prepare ourselves for the fact that this war is going to go on for a long time. In which case, I say to the Minister, where is Plan B? And Plan B has to involve much tougher action against Russia. It needs to involve seizing Russian assets, stopping trade with Russia. It means arming Ukraine to an extent that has not been possible. And I welcome the recent announcements, things like Project Nightfall in the last week or so, where we will be supplying Ukraine with long-range missiles. In terms of assets, very quickly, the Foreign Affairs Committee this morning heard from the Chief Executive of the Chelsea Humanitarian Fund and representatives of the legal firm advising them about the difficulties in achieving what we all want to see, which is the use of the money from Chelsea Football Club to support Ukraine. I would simply say to the Minister, would he please meet them, because there are some serious legal obstacles, and they said that they have a solution to those, but they are anxious to have the opportunity to discuss it further with the Minister. But I will end by simply saying, I would love to think that this war is going to come to an end soon, and my friends in Ukraine pray for that every night. But let us be prepared for the fact that this may go on for much longer, and that we are going to need to do a lot more to put pressure on Russia to get them to stop.